Bramborough back with Grand Tactician Civil War. Union campaign on very hard difficulty and elevated aggression. In version now 1.08, which just went live. After the recent bloody battle in Northern Virginia, rebel armies in the east remained pretty quiet after their defeat. For now. Lots of activity westward, however, where the Missouri State Guard makes repeated offensive actions near Nashville. Meanwhile, George Cadwallader continues his campaign in the Upper Tennessee Valley, pushing beyond Knoxville, close on the heels of Confederate forces. Okay, well, the first thing to mention is the game has updated, and version 1.08, specifically 1.0811, has gone live and is the main version of the game now. It's been in beta for several weeks, I suppose. It brings an avatar system for generals. It changes weapons procurement. And there are more AI adjustments, both campaign and tactical. So we'll see how that goes. This is the same campaign. I just, transitioned over. The game updated. Did not restart a new campaign. The first thing I did was I went into the weapons and checked my weapons orders, and it seems like these are all coming on the same schedule that they were before. A newer order, I did a newer order here for 3-inch ordnance rifle, and I think it may be a little bit slower than it might have been prior to. This order was placed in 1.08, but all the existing orders are on the same track that they were before the game updated. Prison camps are larger. A Tier 1 prison camp now holds 5,000, not 1,000. So we're still way overcrowded, but not to a percentage nearly as much as before. I recently ran an off-camera, kind of an offshoot, just to advance time and see what would happen. Said several times during this campaign that I don't really see that it's hurting state support that much, the overcrowding in the POW camps. And so therefore I just continued to let it overcrowd to see what would happen. So I ran time in I didn't save it, but I ran time for a while just to see what would happen. And with the 1,000-man prison camp that we had up until today, that Confederate state support over time started getting pretty high up there, despite the fact that we hold cities in several Confederate states. So I think the overcrowding did have an issue. It still is an issue, but at 5,000 capacity, that percentage number there is much, much lower. So I'm gonna continue to let this percolate on the POW camp. And let's see, does it tell us what the capacity will be if we upgrade? Ooh, capacity increases from 5,000 to 15,000. That might actually be worth spending some money on. Not sure about that. Did it increase the cost? I think the Tier 1 prison camp was pretty inexpensive, like less than $2 million. That's a $4.4 million. And I honestly do not remember what it was prior to the patch. That 4.4 is probably about right. So if that's 4.4 and an upgrade is 7.2, I don't know. I'm still not sold on prison camps. The only reason I have one at all, and I'm playing with this overcrowding thing, is because we started the campaign with it. And I think that's about all I have to say about the 1.08 at the moment. We'll just have to see how it plays out as we continue this campaign. And hopefully there's not anything buggy. Theater situations. So we just finished a pretty big battle here at Manassas in the last episode. And some of these corps, specifically Key's 3rd Corps, pretty banged up, as we saw. And Patterson's 2nd Corps was pretty banged up in the battle before that, and it's not Patterson. Thomas's 2nd Corps dropped down into orange readiness and is back in the District of Columbia, regaining readiness from the previous battle. We do have still pretty much intact corps, the 1st and the 10th. And, no, that's the Army HQ there. The 10th. And Hancock is under orders to bring his, if I can click it. 10th Corps. On orders to bring his corps across the river behind 3rd first. No immediate plans. They got to finish their forts first. Trying to secure kind of a, trying to get a kind of a secure base here beyond which we can move and not have Confederates run roughshod all back here. Kind of thinking I still left a way for them to flank through here. Maybe I should have built a fort here. I don't know. And I thought we had a supply depot right around in here. So, there it is. Okay, we do. That's what's going on in Virginia. Down the coast, this is going nowhere fast. Both the brigade, our brigade, and the non-existent garrison are broken. Time has paused since I loaded the game in, and that's why this needle is in the middle. Basically, this will go on forever. So I think what I'm going to do is just tell Banks to go ahead and retreat. I'll move them up the coast, let them reconstitute, maybe give them a little bit more forces. He does, it's not completely worthless. He has picked up 2 siege relevant perks. So if we bring him back with some artillery, it should go all right. But I'm going to just tell him to retreat for now. This is not productive. Yeah. In the meantime, and he's just going to go over here, get out of range of the fort, and then I'll be able to sail him up to Delaware or something. He is able to move and not disintegrate because he's got green readiness, right? He's broken. He's been sitting here in a fruitless siege. He doesn't have any food, but he's got green readiness. Okay. Meanwhile, there's a little bit of condition on this fort. I'm going to try again just to bring the battle squadron. Once Banks gets out of the way, we'll see if the battle squadron can come down here and maybe get lucky and capture it again. So that's what's going on in Virginia. Knoxville. We've taken Knoxville. But this army is not in a good supply situation. Getting some supply, but not 100%, and Hurlbut is out of food. Despite, I guess supply can't come over the mountains. That could be another time pause thing. We'll take another look at this once the game starts running. If I remember to, if the battle schedule lets me. Interestingly, there is a supply depot building here. So I think the Army of West Tennessee is here at Kingston. which is the army we defeated in order to capture Knoxville in the first place. Kind of thinking maybe come over here and push them further out, get this route clear, and perhaps Army of the Kanawha can come down and capture Chattanooga. Kind of feel like we need a fort in this area to do that because of this route over the mountains here. Grant's still at Nashville, and McClellan's still at the forts. We've got a pretty sizable army here, 32,000 men among these three forces. Meanwhile, Grant has got at least 3 forces in the vicinity of Nashville. Polk's command and Army of the Oconee are not very large. However, this Army of Tennessee, 32,000 men, and it's just been sitting there, but just the presence of that force is a concern. That's still kind of tying Grant's hands. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what to do about it. I mean, I can go attack them, win a battle, make him retreat, but I think we've seen here in 1.07, well, even before 1.07, we've seen during this campaign, Johnny Reb comes back pretty quick. So I'm not sure exactly what that accomplishes. And we're kind of getting into a similar situation over here in that it's hard to justify a direct attack on these guys over here for the same reason. But it's also hard to justify moving away and leaving these forts vulnerable because these guys will swoop in. One idea I had is this cavalry corps. I've had him down here scouting. He's been down here looking for the Missouri State Guard, who we still haven't seen. But if he runs up close to a supply depot, it becomes Union, and then we can burn it down. Now, in one sense, that kind of helps the Confederacy in that, that lowers the amount that they have to spend in their budget for supporting supply depots. But there's stuff in these supply depots, and when they get burned down, that's at least some. I don't know if 100% does, but some of that stuff comes back out and enters one's own economy. So Fremont can run around down here and just kind of burn these supply depots down, and some of that stuff will make it back up into our own supply depots. There was one right here. I burned it down already. Now I've got him coming over here. We're going to burn this one down. And then he's going to loop back over here and he's going to burn this one down. And that's my plan for the 2nd Cav Corps in the immediate future. We have these rivers. We have these forts now, which kind of opened up these rivers. We've got pretty good visibility along the Cumberland, but I had a few little steamers that had been captured. And they're now green readiness. I had set them up, and they're now green, and they're now ready to go out. So I think I want some of these guys to come on down. Yeah. Come up to Tennessee a little bit and help get some vision down in this area. And finally, over here in Arkansas, these armies that have been tangling with Army of the Missouri have momentarily retreated. They're probably somewhere over here just outside of vision. But I think it's time now for Lyon and Steedman back up to green readiness, just barely, but they are. 100% supply, pretty well filled out here. I think it's time for them to come down and have another go at Fort Smith. So still Lyon just to come to about here. It's Fayetteville. It's far enough. He'll be well within his Army command range. then let's... Oh, wait a minute. They need to do one other thing before they do that. That is... Yeah. Before they move, they need to build a telegraph station. Right now, they're in range of this one. But once at Fort Smith, they will not be. So we need another one to leapfrog there. I think there's one already at... There isn't. Okay. We'll have to build another one once we get down here. Not much to say about policies and projects because time has not advanced for the past couple episodes. There are no target projects currently open for which we are accruing subsidies. And in policies, actually, we are very, very close. Almost as soon as time starts rolling, we'll open up the tariff. I guess there was something to say about policies. Open up the Tariff Act. Once this is complete, I think I'm going to go Industry 2. Okay. These three armies retreating. We do have more unengaged Confederate armies down here. Of course, they were in the previous battle. Several units routed. And Keyes did have several units routed. I did double check the commanders in the 3rd Corps. None of them had a defamation icon. So that's good. Following that battle where we had several brigades routed. Okay, let's get... I think I said I was going to go Industry 2. Tenth Corps coming across the Potomac. Here's 3rd Corps status here. Confident. Well, okay. I am not sure that all the brigades in this corps are confident after that battle. Fort Donelson condition, Fort Tompkins. Okay, this fort is done here. Okay, Hatteras expedition is clear. Let's just bring them up to... Yeah, this is fine. Let's just bring him up to Delaware. Just get him in friendly territory. He's seaborne. Shouldn't take him very long. Let's see. This fort has got a little bit of condition. Let's just see if the battle squadron can come up and get lucky with their amphibious perk. It may not. All these ships are about 80 to 90% condition. I think that's enough for this. Come on, Farragut. This has become like a saga with this stupid fort, which isn't even important. It's not like there's a port here or anything. Do an amphibious attack. Ooh, over 6% chances on these amphibious assault perks. Please capture this fort. Ships active 7. I think this is like a frontage. I've mentioned this before, but I haven't mentioned it for a while. So 7 ships in combat or bombardment or whatever it is at one time. This is why I kind of like a fleet size of 7 or 8 ships. 7 to have everybody involved, and 8, it's kind of a nice even number, and there's 1 spare if one gets sunk or what have you. Okay, so more amphibious assault chances proccing at 6%. I kind of like his chances. And that condition isn't going down too much. That gives him more chances. And there's so little fort firepower. I don't think our ships are taking much damage. This looks about like what they were when they left port. No one's getting hammered here. And it's not even showing a garrison. Right? This fort is kind of bugged, to be honest. Not bugged, but the things that have happened with it have just kind of combined in such a way that the game doesn't quite know what to do with it during a siege. So I'm hoping this works just to make it Union and, make it go. And it counts toward our capture 10 forts objective. Which isn't all that big. It gives us some Union national morale. It actually doesn't hurt the Confederate national morale. But it has to be done before November 1862. And thus far we have captured 1, 2, 3, 4. The 3 on the rivers near Nashville and Fort Norfolk. Hopefully soon to be added, Fort Smith, and I hope Fort Pillow on the Mississippi, north of Memphis. Meanwhile, Farragut continues to accrue some perk slot XP here, and I think there's one more bombardment-related perk in the tree that we haven't gotten yet. We've got the amphibious attack and the limelights. I think it's a balloon barge is another one. Okay, now I'm a little, why isn't this fort condition going down now? It's been going on long enough. Well, whatever else, you got his perk. Okay, not that one. Not this one. This one is specifically related to ironclads, I think, which we have none in this fleet. It's a blockade, trade routes, blockade. This is it. Pretty sure this is the one we want. Check these others. So this one's interesting. Allows vessels to operate longer without the need to return for supplies. Movement speed minus 30%, but supply consumption goes down. This allows longer engagements. I'm not going to take it now, but I am interested in, kind of interested in that. Mortar boats, that's another blockade one. And this is just this is ramming. Okay, so mortar boats gets us bombardment efficiency plus 5%, and balloon barge gets us fort bombardment efficiency plus 5%, plus some intel gathering. Let's go balloon barge. It seems to make, if it lets me select it. Okay, y'all are seeing this, right? Do I have to have time running to select a perk? I don't think so. Oh, well, look at that. That's a Union Fort. Nice. Does that explain why I can't select perk? I hope that's not some 1.08 nonsense. Okay, I'm going to tell him to go back to port, regain some condition, then we'll send him further down the coast. So that's fort number 5. There we go. Oh, there's the Missouri State Guard. Where's our cav? Where'd our cav run off to? Okay, that's turning into a more serious question. Where is the cav? Second Cav Corps is. Well, he ran up in here. Okay. Let's get him back over closer to his army commander. Well, he didn't have a chance to go destroy that supply depot. Who's going to get this one? He probably came right around the corner and, oop, there's the Missouri State Guard. How many men are in the Missouri State Guard right now? 15,000. The cast of characters grows outside Nashville. We have 245,000 men fielded. The Confederacy has 215,000. So we're maintaining a 30,000 troop edge. It doesn't really feel like we've got that kind of advantage anywhere in any theater, and that could be because no, wrong army. In the 2 recruiting commands, there's well over 30,000. So a ton of our field and manpower is back at in Indiana and at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Right? There's a lot of troops in here, and one reason why they're sitting back in the recruit commands is and not being used is because I don't have any weapons to give these guys. Right? It would be mixed musket infantry. And I don't have very many cannon, and I don't have any cav weapons either. However, we've got all that stuff coming. Pretty soon I'm going to be able to cut some of these brigades out of here, send them out to plus up some of our forces. Have we gotten to Fort Smith? No, we were building a stupid telegraph station. Is that built? Not quite. Oh, and there's the armies. Here. Lion's out here with his staff scouting for the army. All right, well, that'll be done soon. We'll bring the 8th Corps up, and we'll push these guys away from Fort Smith and come back at this fort. Okay, so we've got the Missouri State Guard and Polk's Command. It's about, 23,000 troops engaging the Army. Not only the Army of the Tennessee, but the Army of the Mississippi as well. We've got like 71,000 troops here. Okay. Well, here's the deal with this. I'm not going to auto-resolve it, and the reason is, right now, it's just these 2 forces. If I auto-resolve, these are the only 2 eligible. If I auto-resolve, Army of the Tennessee could come over. Army of the Econ could come over and join. All 3 of these armies could come over and join, right? these two armies, they're not limited to just this if it turns into an auto-resolve. My understanding is that in 1.08, the auto-resolves should go faster, or at least the field battle ones. I don't know about the fort sieges. I don't think this right now is a situation where I want to try that out. So I'm going to fight this on the tactical battle. However, 70,000 men versus 20,000 men, either A, Price is going to just retreat outright at the beginning of the battle and there's not going to be any combat, or it's simply not going to be a very interesting battle. So either I'll be back in a moment for me when he retreats, or I got to slog through and do this battle for a bit, and I'll be back. Yeah, the rebels did not immediately retreat, had march up, attack, all that kind of stuff, but it did not last very long. Initial contact was made, skirmishing started happening. We had so many men on the field that they retreated. It wasn't much to show. We did lose about 300 men, and they lost about almost 1,200, about 500 small arms and a gun. 200 more POWs. That's about all there was to that. Okay, these two forces are rearguard action. And the Missouri State Guard decides to just come right up here and siege Fort Henry with the Army of the Mississippi in support. Hard to imagine that's going to work out well for them. Heavily in our favor. $35,000 men here, roughly. And Price has got about, what is that? Not quite 13,000. The implication, though, is that now, mobilizing these guys, well, they can't really come over and join that siege without getting in Fort Heim, without having to. I'm kind of curious to see how all this plays out. I want to let that run. Let's bring Hurlbut down here. Push that army further back. Third Corps has already regained back up, just crossing back into green readiness. 100% supply. Looks like his stocks are good. Does have some wounded there. He's got hospital medical treatment available. Second Corps back up into the yellow now. We'll let him regain a little bit more readiness back there in DC. He's also picked up his third perk. So Army level perks. We got a perk here as well. Okay, we've got pontoon train. We're putting ambulance corps and flying column on all of our corps. That's not what I meant. I think I'm going to take skilled cartographers. I used to use this perk a lot. I stopped using it. And the reason I used it so much is because I routinely had corps in scouting mode all the time. not realizing that's what was causing excessively long reinforcement times. So I stopped putting cores into that. And I stopped using this perk as a result. However, we do have the Cav Corps within the army. They typically scout. And frankly, I think Winfield Scott himself can probably scout, and he can further increase this perk that way. I'm going to go ahead and take that. I like the intel gathering and movement speed. So even if it doesn't really accrue anymore, even the tier 1 helps everybody out on movement speed as well as the intel. I'm going to do that. I think I don't like that as a core perk anymore, but talking myself into it to use it at the army level. Especially if there's a Cav Corps that kind of stays in scouting mode. So if we're doing that at the core level, how about... I don't think these particular cores are going to be doing much fort sieging. I could talk myself into field telegraph. This thing increases order delays. I've never been a fan of that. Although it's a pretty big intel buff. I don't force march very much. This is another good one for army level, I think, because, corps do have to build their own supply depots and occasionally forts. Like, it would have been helpful for these forts I just built here. Enemy movement speed within range minus 10%. Within what range? The combat radius of the unit or the command radius? If it's the command radius, that's pretty darn good. If it's the combat radius, it's the land torpedoes. Well, we just crossed into June. Let's see if there's any interesting information in the Econ and Intel. A- credit rating, still very good. We did issue some more debt. Below average and increasing. Tax revenues increased by, that's because I had the... That's because I had the I had exited the game. No buildings constructed. Seems like, didn't we complete a fort? Food, iron, and wool. Still got quite a few shortages. Apparently I have 0 gold production. I'm not sure exactly what gold is used for anyway. Intel. They did King Cotton, or they're working toward King Cotton 3. 40%. Apparently didn't take any projects within the last month. Seems odd. Haven't recruited any men. Seems kind of odd. 7 ships. Lost an officer, 79% morale, and still in mostly defending his land mode. Okay, Army of West Tennessee made contact over here, and he just decided to retreat. Didn't want to fight. No, he just moved to here. Let's keep pushing him. Push him all the way to Chattanooga. Army of the Kanawha. Perk. Let's go Ambulance Corps. Does 9th Corps have a perk? If I can click it. Not yet. Yeah, more armies have come to join this siege. Polk's command is here. Well, I can't read it now. Still in our favor, but we've got another fight here. Robert Ransom. It says unknown unit, but that's got to be the... well, yeah, it says right here. Army of West Tennessee. And this is a pretty even fight. Pine Mountain map. Attacking situation. Here's the objective, and here's our, see the deployment zone. Hurlbut's Corps, got them on the road here. We're going to march through Deweyville and come this way. We do have a substantial advantage already because the Confederate morale is quite low. You know, they were in bad shape before. We got them to fall back, hit them again, so they're not in the best morale shape. However, they might recover to pretty good morale by the time we get here. And no matter which way you come at this particular objective on this map, it's kind of a rough one. You know, there's a kind of a big slope here, open ground. It's almost like however they deploy, even if they're not really trying to, they often put together a pretty good defensive position here. In any case, got some marching to do. Cav came over here, got sight of the Confederate position. Certainly not going to come out over here and march up this slope into these parapets. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing the infantry over around this way on this back slope of Greeley Mountain. They all have the Ace of Spades perk. It's going to be slow because of the woods. We're going to slowly advance up through here. And when contact is made, they'll be in cover, and that Ace of Spades will help. That's my plan. Okay, we're making this attack through these woods on the side of Greeley Mountain. I think it's Greeley Mountain, yes. Got artillery up here on the crest. They're a little tired from doing that, but they're banging away. I think the Cav needs their scouts anymore. Let's bring him back here into the Confederate rear. That's not what I meant to do. There we go. Faster. Come out of the parapets over here. There they go. Still okay on cohesion and fatigue. Doing alright. Moving up. Got to give them all the long-range orders. I think the artillery's got good fields of fire there, so they seem to be finding targets. Yeah. 28th gauge is taking casualties from these damn skirmishers. That is a much smaller cav regiment than Greg. Let's bring him down to engage. Not a great situation for Greg. This guy's got cover. He's taking 100 casualties, so has Graham, which is proportionally, that's actually working okay, I think. I think these guys are probably armed with Richmond carbines, which are slower firing, and we're close enough that he doesn't have the range advantage. now. Skirm's driven in here. Now we've got a brigade coming forward against the cook. Artillery banging away, helping out, firing in this area. 250. Yeah, okay. We'll be able to take care of this cap here, and then we can get up here into the artillery. Has been driven in. Cook's holding out over here. This brigade wavering is falling back. Battalion is there then. Yeah, they're withdrawn. .8% casualties for them. 2,000 casualties for the Rebs. 700 for us. The returns here are telling us that the Confederates took 2,600 casualties. We took about 700. So a little bit better than 3-1. It's a good exchange ratio there. Although we're only showing 2250 casualties inflicted. Did take a few prisoners among the infantry. Cav did almost 500 damage, or 500 kills. First Division, vast majority of the kills, those were the two brigades on the right. McCook and 28th Brigade's probably McCook, I would guess. Yes. And Taylor. And the other two brigades weren't as heavily engaged because it was kind of doing a pinwheel movement through there, and they had farther to march in the woods. Plus, they were on lower elevation, and I think they were going up a slope as well. So I could have probably aligned that a little bit better. And they already did okay for 2 battalions, and it was a pretty short fight. A pretty sharp one, though. Yeah, they started kind of like this, and as they came up to engage, McCook and Taylor didn't have very far to go. Plus, they were kind of going down a slope a little bit, whereas these others guys, they had to kind of hook around. And by the time they really got engaged, the fight was more than halfway done. In any case, I thought that was like I said, a pretty short battle, but fairly intense one. Minor victory again. Lost all his guns. And we didn't lose any of our cannon. Over 1,200 small arms, 8 artillery, and 500 more house guests at Camp Chase in Ohio. And Cadwallader, the Army commander, picked up some fame. He's a national hero. Okay, so we're making some progress here in East Tennessee. Kind of pushing the Army of West Tennessee down the valley toward Chattanooga. And these 9th Corps guys, they're picking up some experience too. Okay. And I think that will do for this episode, finishing off with a nice short battle there. If you like what we're doing with the channel, then leave a like, leave a comment, maybe even subscribe. If you haven't caught all the episodes in this campaign and would like to, I'm linking the playlist here. At any rate, thank you very, very much for watching. I appreciate it.